Africa is home to most of the world's cocoa, the main ingredient in chocolate. For years, African countries have grown the beans, shipped them overseas, and watched as foreign companies turn them into expensive chocolate bars sold around the world. The farmers who actually grew the cocoa rarely saw much of that money. That system has been in place for decades, and it has made a lot of people wealthy, just not the people doing the hardest work. Now, one country has decided it has had enough. Ghana, the second largest cocoa producer on the planet, just made an announcement that has sent shockwaves through the global chocolate industry. The government said it will no longer accept foreign loans to buy cocoa from its own farmers. Instead, Ghana will raise money domestically using bonds sold in its own currency. This might sound like a technical financial decision, but it represents something much bigger. Ghana is taking back control of its cocoa supply chain, and in doing so, it is challenging a system that has kept African countries dependent on foreign money and foreign decisions for far too long. For years, Ghana's Cocoa Board has relied on loans from foreign banks and commodity traders to purchase beans from local farmers. These loans were usually given in dollars, and the cocoa itself was used as collateral. That meant the beans were effectively promised to foreign lenders before they were even harvested. Once the cocoa was bought, it had to be shipped abroad to repay those loans. Even when Ghana had factories ready to process the beans locally, it could not use them because the cocoa was already spoken for. The beans left the country as raw material, were processed somewhere else, and came back as expensive finished products that most Ghanaians could never afford. This system works smoothly for the people lending the money and the companies processing the cocoa overseas. It was efficient and predictable, but it also locked Ghana into a cycle of dependency. When global cocoa prices dropped, or when the value of Ghana's currency shifted, the country absorbed the losses. Farmers were paid, but the bigger profits went elsewhere. The chocolate bars made from Ghanaian cocoa ended up on shelves in Europe and America, sold at premium prices, while the people who grew the beans struggled to make ends meet. Ghana's president recently stood in front of African leaders and laid out a new plan. He said the country would stop using foreign funding to buy its own cocoa. Instead, it would issue bonds in the local currency and use that money to purchase the beans directly. This change removes the need to use cocoa as collateral, which means Ghana can now decide what happens to its beans. The president explained that the country has the capacity to process 400,000 tons of cocoa locally, but under the old system, those beans had to be shipped out because they were tied up in foreign financing deals. Now, with domestic funding, Ghana can keep a large portion of its cocoa at home, process it in local factories, and export finished products instead of raw materials. This is not just about cocoa. The president made it clear that by the year 2030, Ghana will not export any raw minerals. No raw manganese, no raw bauxite, no raw iron ore. Everything will be processed locally before it leaves the country. This is part of a broader vision that goes beyond one crop or one mineral. It is about transforming the entire economy and making sure that the value created by Ghana's resources stays in Ghana. The announcement was met with applause, and for good reason. Across Africa, countries are rich in resources, but poor in wealth. The continent produces much of the world's cocoa, yet most of the profits from chocolate flow to Europe and North America. Ghana and Ivory Coast together produce more than 70% of the world's cocoa. Around 5 million small farmers grow 90% of global cocoa, yet they earn only a tiny fraction of what a chocolate bar sells for. Studies have shown that farmers sometimes make as little as 6 cents from a single bar of chocolate. The rest goes to manufacturers, processors, and retailers. Meanwhile, Western Europe consumes nearly 40% of the world's cocoa, followed by the United States and Eastern Europe. These regions host large processing industries that turn raw beans into chocolate bars, cocoa butter, cocoa powder, and other high-value products used in cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, and luxury goods. Fancy chocolates sold in boutiques across Dubai or high-end brands from Nordic countries command enormous prices, yet the farmers who grew the beans often cannot afford to buy those same products. It is a cruel irony. The people who create the raw wealth are shut out from enjoying its rewards. Ghana's new policy aims to change that. By financing cocoa purchases domestically, the country breaks free from the collateral trap that forced it to ship beans abroad. This opens up opportunities for local processing, which means new factories, new jobs, and new industries. Farmers could see more stable payments because the market would be less vulnerable to foreign currency swings and sudden changes in global prices. The national currency could become more stable as cocoa transactions shift into local hands. Instead of exporting raw beans and importing expensive chocolate, Ghana could start exporting finished products and keeping more of the profit at home. The benefits go beyond economics. The president connected this policy to a larger social issue. He pointed out that Africa's young people are not as patient as previous generations. They want to see progress and prosperity now, not decades from later. Without opportunities at home, many of them risk their lives crossing the Sahara Desert and the Mediterranean Sea, trying to reach Europe in search of work. The president argued that creating local industries and processing African resources at home is not just an economic strategy, it is a survival plan. It is about giving young people a reason to stay, to build, and to thrive in their own countries. This vision is part of what the president calls the Accra Reset, a broader initiative aimed at industrialization, value addition, and economic self-reliance across Africa. The idea is simple. Africa should not remain stuck in extractive relationships where it digs up resources, ships them out, and buys back finished goods at inflated prices. Instead, the continent should build its own processing capacity, create its own industries, and control its own economic destiny. The initiative speaks to Africa's 1.4 billion people and challenges them to rethink what is possible. If Ghana succeeds, the impact could be enormous. Local cocoa processing would create skilled jobs and expand supply chains. It would stimulate technology transfer, infrastructure development, and entrepreneurship. Communities would benefit directly as more value circulates within the economy rather than vanishing into foreign accounts. Ghana would move up the value chain, exporting semi-processed or fully finished products instead of handing over raw materials and letting someone else capture the profit. But not everyone is convinced. Skeptics are asking tough questions. Can Ghana's domestic capital markets actually handle the financing load? Will global traders, who have profited from the old system for decades, accept this shift without a fight? There are also concerns about whether local factories can scale up quickly enough, and whether the infrastructure is in place to support large-scale processing. These are real challenges, and they will take time, investment, and political will to overcome. Still, the announcement has sparked excitement across the continent. If Ghana, a cornerstone of the global cocoa economy, can reclaim control of its supply chain and insist on local value addition, what is stopping other resource-rich nations from doing the same? Africa is full of copper, lithium, oil, rare earth minerals, and countless other resources that are shipped out raw and processed elsewhere. Ghana's bold move raises a powerful question. Why should Africa continue exporting its prosperity in raw form while importing its own dreams at a premium? For decades, the global economic order has relied on Africa providing cheap raw materials and wealthy nations turning them into expensive finished goods. Ghana has drawn a line in the sand and said that arrangement is no longer acceptable. The blueprint has been laid out. The debate has begun. Whether this sparks a wave of similar moves across the continent or triggers resistance from powerful interests remains to be seen. But one thing is certain. The conversation about who controls Africa's resources and who benefits from them has fundamentally changed. The world is watching, and so is the rest of Africa.